Chapter Yvonne, get in. When I realized I was given a second chance, our yacht had already started taking on water. The lifeboat could only hold 2 people. Of the 3 of us, only Hendrix knew how to operate it, so one of the spots had to go to him. There were 2 left fighting for the spot. After a fierce internal struggle, Hendrix finally extended his hand toward me. However, I took a step back, rejecting his offer. Hendrix, save Yana. I would never carry the weight of someone's death on my shoulders again. Upon hearing this, Hendrix seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. Even his furrowed brows relaxed. Without hesitation, he grabbed Yana's hand and guided her to the lifeboat. Yvonne, you're my fiancée. I would have chosen you, but you insisted that I take Yana. Stay put. I'll definitely come back for you. With that, he left with Yana, not sparing me another glance as if afraid I might change my mind. How ridiculous. Did he think everyone was like him? The last life played out similarly? He took me away from the disaster zone first, leaving Yana all alone on the yacht. Even though we contacted the Coast Guard as soon as we returned, Yana had drowned. All they recovered was her lifeless body. At first, Hendrix did not show any emotions when he heard the news. He calmly handled Yana's funeral and gave her family a large sum of money for their loss. The only request he made was to bury her in a pristine gravesite, supposedly with the best care. Naturally, I did not object and even thoughtfully asked if he wanted to postpone the wedding. However, he refused immediately. I still remember how he held my hand and said, Yvonne, I'm definitely marrying you. It was not until later that I realized he was indeed determined to marry me. However, it was only so he could torment me, to make me atone for Yana's death for the rest of my life. What did her death have to do with me? As I watched them sail away, I immediately began thinking of ways to save myself. After all, I could not be sure if Hendrix would get help this time. In my previous life, it was because his beloved childhood friend was left behind that he rushed to get help as soon as we regained cell service. This time, his beloved was right by his side. Would he even remember me? Both times, the only person he ever truly wanted to save was his childhood sweetheart, Yana. I thought about it. They indeed had a great relationship. They grew up together, and no one could ever compare to the years she spent by his side. Even though he chose to save me, it was only because if he had saved Yana first, people would have criticized him for ignoring his fiancée. So, despite his love for Yana, he chose to rescue me. In the previous life, Hendrix deeply regretted that choice. Now, I had made that choice for him. He should be thanking me. Chapter It was not until their figures completely disappeared over the horizon that I quickly thought of ways to save myself. Although the yacht was taking on water, there were still many useful things on it. As I watched the rising water, I hurriedly went inside the yacht and found the swim rings and life jackets I had brought to the trip. I had prepared several swim rings in advance because I could not swim but wanted to join in the fun. Now they were coming in handy. I hastily put on a life jacket, inflated the rings, and slipped one around my body. I then dug out the remaining few packets of chocolate and bottles of water. When the yacht finally sank completely, I took a deep breath and began swimming toward the shore. Although this was out at sea, it was not entirely desolate. Fishermen frequently passed by to fish, so I knew I would be saved if I could encounter a fishing boat. Unfortunately, it was the dead of night. Even if there were fishing boats nearby, the loud engine would likely drown out my cries for help. Despite that, I did not give up. I kept swimming toward the shore with all my strength. However, fate seemed to be out for me. The clear sky from earlier was now filled with thick, dark clouds. It played out just like my previous life. Shortly after, a torrential downpour began, making the rescue effort even harder and ultimately leading to Yana's death. Unlike her, I was not about to give up. I swam even harder. After about an hour of swimming, I finally saw a yacht drifting ahead, swaying in the water. I quickly raised my hands and shouted toward the yacht, "Help! Is anyone there? Please save me! Save me!"